India once again insisting there was no U.S. involvement in its ceasefire with Pakistan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi making it clear in a frank discussion with U.S. President Donald Trump over the phone after the American leader left the G7 summit early. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said Mr. Modi told Mr. Trump that the truce happened directly through existing military channels between India and Pakistan. President Trump said last month that the ceasefire came about after he intervened. Mr. Misri also went on to say there was no discussion about a trade deal with Washington, but a positive development on the sidelines of the G7 summit between New Delhi and Ottawa, both agreeing to return ambassadors to each other's capitals after a meeting between Mr. Modi and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. Tensions rose in 2023, you remember, following the assassination of a Sikh separatist on Canadian soil. Ottawa had accused the Indian government of being involved in the killing and expelled its envoy. New Delhi responded in kind. Now, on that story, we go next to Ishan Garg. He's coming to us live from Mumbai. And Ishan, let's first talk about the latest conversation between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi. What do we know besides this clarification of the truce with Pakistan?
Well, the truce with Pakistan, or the ceasefire rather, was certainly the big part of conversation, the telephonic conversation between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump. In fact, when India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri briefed the media about it, a substantial chunk of his briefing was dedicated to this fact. And in his briefing, Mr. Misri also said that Prime Minister Modi also focused on conveying India's broader message about Operation Sindoor, about these military strikes on Pakistan, saying that they were non-escalatory in nature, saying that they were only a retaliation for the terrorist attack that took place in Pahalgam that claimed the lives of at least 26 people. And this attack is the one that India blames Pakistan for. But apart from clarifying myriad strands of facts that are being reported in the media about the Pahalgam terror attack, the two leaders also talked about the now escalating conflict between Iran and Israel. Prime Minister Modi and President Trump also talked about Ukraine and Russia conflict. And finally, the two leaders also touched upon the Quad grouping and its role in the wider Asia-Pacific region. We understand that Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended an invitation to President Donald Trump, asking him to come to India for the Quad summit. This is a grouping of 4 countries, which includes the United States, India, Japan, and Australia. And President Trump, India says, has already accepted this invitation. What we haven't heard from the Foreign Secretary or the Prime Minister, if trade was discussed between the two leaders, we understand that that issue has not come up, even as India and the US are currently negotiating a bilateral trade agreement.
Well, the meeting between Mr. Carney and Mr. Modi seemed to have put both countries on a more positive setting moving forward. But what more will we need to see to show that ties are truly back on a positive track?
Well, the fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Canada's new Prime Minister, they had this conversation, despite the fact that there were speculations that Mr. Modi might not be invited to the G7 summit, something that has been done since 2018 consecutively every single year. The fact that this meeting happened already sets the tone for the idea that India and Canada ties might be on the mend. The two sides have also now announced that they are going to reinstate each other's high commissioners in their diplomatic outposts, which also means that there is trust building on the diplomatic front between these two countries as well. At the same time, reports also say that India and Canada have also discussed bringing back on track a free trade agreement that has been in the works for several years now, but that was completely derailed after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accused India of being a party in the murder of a Sikh separatist leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar. We understand that Mr. Carney and Prime Minister Modi also talked about increasing cooperation in a variety of areas, including renewable technology, artificial intelligence, and it all seems to suggest that India-Canada ties might be back on track now.
Ishan, thank you. Ishan Garg talking to us from Mumbai there.